show you how to print out your blue line roughs. For this tutorial, you are going to need a DeskJet printer that is not toner-based, so one that uses dye and water-based inks. You're going to need your computer, of course. I have Photoshop loaded up, but if you already have your files converted to blue line, it kind of doesn't really matter what program you use to hit print. You're also going to want some inexpensive printer paper. You don't want anything with a coating on it, so the cheap stuff really is best. I'm using a large format printer. This is my Canon Pixma Pro 9000. I've had it for about 6 years now. I love this thing. However, it's quite an investment, and for printing out roughs on a regular printer paper, you can use any inexpensive DeskJet printer. It doesn't have to be an expensive one like this. However, if you want to print on larger size Bristol or you want to print on larger size watercolor paper, this printer, while an investment, is a great investment. Now for everybody's favorite camcorder on screen. So I have here my thumbnail. It's already been expanded to 6:9. So we're just going to go to File. We're going to go to Print. Give it a second to come up. We have the correct printer selected. Now we go to Print Settings because we need to change the paper size. We're going to select 8.5 by 11 because that's what it is. We're going to switch over to Rear Tray. Front tray is great for printing on watercolor paper or Bristol. We're going to have plain paper and fast quality selected. We're going to give it a second to figure out what it's doing, and then we're going to hit print. And if all goes well, it will print correctly. All right, so when you print for the first time using, like I usually print to the front tray, when you switch which tray you print to, it does take a little bit longer. So it says I haven't lifted it all the way up. Double check that. Now I'm going to print the orange go ahead button. Let's see if it can do it. I believe in you, printer. In my upcoming tutorial where we talk about let's try you again. In my upcoming tutorial where we're going to print onto watercolor paper, we're going to be using the front tray. Ha-ha! We did it! So I just wanted to make sure the first one printed okay. As you guys can see, it prints very light, but he really wants to go outside. I'm really not going to let him because he likes to dart if I'm not watching him. So I'm just going to start queuing up the rest of the pages. So File, Print. Everything looks correct. Print. Page 3. File. Print. Everything looks correct. Print. File. Page 4. File. Print. Everything looks correct. Print. Page 5. Print. Everything looks correct. Print. Page 6, File, Print. And I should say that this is the work of one of the students in my class, Bob Stewart. Print. Give credit where credit is due. Page 7. Are you not going to print? Okay. File, Print. So it gets... Bowie, if you're going to meow, be on camera. Zoom in so you guys can actually see what I do. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to kind of go through the steps with you guys again. So I have it pulled up in the Photoshop print settings menu. It is set to Canon Pro 9000 Mark II. That is this printer here. You want to make sure your print settings, if you're using Photoshop and if you're using this printer, because it does vary by printer, you want to make sure it's at letter 8.5 by 11 You want to have it coming from the rear tray. That's this one here because it's a multi-feed tray. You want it to be plain paper and you want your print quality to be fast. Zoom, zoom, speedy, speed. Then you hit print when everything looks good. And this is our final page of roughs. Ta-da! So you don't want it to print every detail. You just want it to print the basics so you can see what you're doing when you tighten it up again for roughs. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video on printing your blue line roughs onto printer paper. This is an important part of my comic making process, and I'm delighted to share it with you guys. I really want to help dispel the notion that traditional media artists only work in traditional media and that we have no digital processes. I think there's a lot of overlap between both communities, and I'd really like to help bridge that gap and mend some of those fences. If you guys have any questions about this tutorial, I have a written tutorial over at natasuit.blogspot.com that I'm going to link in the cards right here, as well as in the description below, that'll walk you through the process step by step. I do apologize for camcorder on screen. I know that's not anyone's favorite, but most of the screen capture softwares I've encountered, Wirecast, OBD, and there was another one, Split Screen or something like that. All of them cause such massive slowdown on my computer that they're just basically unusable when it comes to Photoshop. So I thought this method of screen capture was better than none at all. Really appreciate you guys sticking with me. If you enjoy these sort of tutorials, consider subscribing. And if you are not a student in my Making Comics and Zine class, and you are not one of my patrons over on Patreon, I highly recommend you consider joining me on Patreon. I've been sharing these videos about as soon as they're edited to both my students and to my art nerds. And if you enjoy early access and you want to support what I do, you can head on over to patreon.com/natasuit to find out more information on how you can do that. This little bugger, look at the camera. No, say no. He is always around and always just out of shot. But I know people have requested more of him, and I'm doing what I can, but he just doesn't like the camera. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again really soon. Bye, guys.